And welcome back to the continuation of the reading of the Holy Bible. We're still in Genesis. This week we are reading chapter 35 through 42. Pardon me. Chapter 35. Jacob purchases household of idols. In the meantime, God said to Jacob, "Arise and go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar to God, who appeared to thee when thou didst flee from Esau thy brother." And Jacob, having called together all his household, said, "Cast away the strange gods that are among you, and be cleansed, and let us go up to Bethel, that we may make there an altar to God, who heard me on the day of my affliction, and accompanied me in my journey." So they gave him all the strange gods they had, and the earrings which were in their ears, and he buried them under the turpentine tree that is behind the city of Shechem. And when they were departed, the terror of God fell upon all the cities round about, and they durst not pursue after them as they went away. Jacob builds an altar at Bethel. And Jacob came to Luzah, which is in the land of Canaan, surnamed Bethel, he and all the people that were with him. And he built there an altar, and called the name of that place the house of God. For there God appeared to him when he fled from his brother. Death of Deborah. At the same time, Deborah, the nurse of Rebekah, died, and was buried at the foot of Bethel under an oak, and the name of that place was called the Oak of Weeping. God blesses Jacob. And God appeared again to Jacob after he returned from Mesopotamia of Syria, and he blessed him, saying, "Thou shalt not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name." And he called him Israel, and said to him, "I am God Almighty. Increase thou and be multiplied. Nations and peoples of nations shall be from thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. And the land which I gave to Abraham and Isaac I will give to thee, and to thy seed after thee." And he departed from them. But he set up a monument of stone in the place where God had spoken to him, pouring drink offerings upon it, and pouring oil thereof, and calling the name of that place Bethel. Let's see. Chapter 35, verse 10, Israel. This name signifies one that prevails with God. Rachel bears Benjamin and dies, and going forth from thence, he came to the springtime to the land which leadeth to Ephratah, wherein, when Rachel was in travail by reason of her hard labor, she began to be in danger, and the midwife said to her, "Fear not, for thou shalt have this son also." When her soul was departing, for pain and death was now at hand, she called the name of her son Benoni, that is, the son of my pain. But his father called him Benjamin, that is, the son of the right hand. So Rachel died, and was buried in the highway that leadeth to Ephratah, that is, Bethlehem. And Jacob erected a pillar over her sepulchre. This is the pillar of Rachel's monument to this day. The sons of Jacob. Departing thence, he pitched his tent beyond the flock tower. And when he dwelt in that country, Reuben went and slept with Bala, the concubine of his father, which he was not ignorant of. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. Verse 22, the concubine. She was his lawful wife, but according to the style of the Hebrews, is called concubine, because of her servile extraction. The sons of Leah, Reuben the firstborn, and Simeon, and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin, the sons of Bala, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali, the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, Gad and Aser. These are the sons of Jacob that were born to him in Mesopotamia of Syria, Isaac's age and death. And he came to Isaac his father in Mamre, the city of Arbi, that is Hebron, wherein Abraham and Isaac sojourned. And the days of Isaac were 180 years, and being spent with age, he died, and was gathered to his people, being old and full of days, and his son Esau and Jacob buried him. Chapter 36, Esau's wives. And these are the generations of Esau, the same as Edom. Esau took wives of the daughters of Canaan, Ada the daughter of Elon the Hethite, and Ulalibama the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Sibeon the Hivite. Chapter 36, verse 2, Ada. These wives of Esau are called by other names, Genesis 26:34. But it was very common among the ancients of the same persons to have two names, as Esau himself was also called Edom. And Basmath the daughter of Ismael, sister of Nabajoth, and Ada bore Eliphaz. Basmath bore Rehul. Ulibama bore Jehus, and Elon, and Kor. These are the sons of Esau, that were born to him in the land of Canaan. Esau dwells in Mount Seir. Esau took his wives and his sons and daughters, and every soul of his house, and his substance and cattle, and all that he was able to acquire in the land of Canaan, and went into another country and departed from his brother Jacob. Verse 6, Jacob. Canaan was to be his inheritance. For they were exceeding rich and could not dwell together. Neither was the land in which they sojourned able to bear them, for the multitude of their flocks, and Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. He is Edom. Generations of Esau. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of Edom, in Mount Seir. And these the names of his sons: Eliphaz, the son of Ada, the wife of Esau, and Rahuel, the son of Basemath, his wife. And Eliphaz had sons: Theman, Omar, Sepho, and Gatham, and Sinaz. And Thamna was the concubine of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, and she bore him Amalek. These are the sons of Ada, the wife of Esau, and the sons of Rahuel were Nehath and Zara, Sama, and Mezah. These were the sons of Basemath, the wife of Esau, and these were the sons of Ulibama, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Sebeon, the wife of Esau, whom she bore to him, Jehus and Halion and Kor. These were the dukes of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau: Duke Theman, Duke Omar, Duke Sephio, Duke Sinaz, Duke Kor, Duke Gatham, Duke Amalek. These are the sons of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. And these the sons of Ada. And these were the sons of Rahuel, the son of Esau: Duke Nahath, Duke Zara, Duke Sama, Duke Mizah. And these are the dukes of Rahuel in the land of Edom. These the sons of Basemath, the wife of Esau. And these the sons of Ulibama, the wife of Esau: Duke Jehus, Duke Ehlon, Duke Kor. These are the dukes of Ulibama, the daughter of Anna, and wife of Esau. These are the sons of Esau, and these are the dukes of them, the same as Edom. Generations of Seir. These are the sons of Seir, of Seir the Horite, the inhabitants of the land: Lotan, and Sobal, and Sebeon, and Anna, and Dasan, and Isir, and Dasan. These are the dukes of the Horites, the sons of Seir in the land of Edom. And Lotan had sons, Hori and Heman, and the sister of Lotan was Thamna. And these the sons of Sobal: Alvin, and Manahat, and Ebal, and Sepho, and Oman. And these the sons of Sebeon: Ea and Anna. This is Anna that found the hot waters in the wilderness, when he fed the asses of Sebeon his father. And he had a son, Disan, and a daughter, Ulibama. And these were the sons of Disan: Hamdan, and Esabon, and Jethram, and Charan. These also were the sons of Eser: Balaam, and Zavan, and Akan. And Disan had sons, Hus, and Aram. These were dukes of the Horites: Duke Lotan, Duke Sobal, Duke Sebeon, Duke Anna, Duke Disan, Duke Eser, Duke Disan. These were dukes of the Horites that ruled in the land of Seir. Kings of Edom. And the kings that ruled in the land of Edom before the children of Israel had a king were these: Bela, the son of Beor, and the name of his city Dinhabah. And Bela died, and Jobab, the son of Zara of Basra, reigned in his stead. And when Jobab was dead, Husam of the land of the Themanites reigned in his stead. And after his death, Adad, the son of Badad, reigned in his stead, who defeated the Madianites in the country of Moab, and the name of his city was Avith. And when Adad was dead, there reigned in his stead Semlah of Masrekah. And he being dead, Saul of the river Rehoboth reigned in his stead. And when he also was dead, Balaam, the son of Achobar, succeeded to the kingdom. This man also being dead, Adar reigned in his place, and the name of his city was Phau, and his wife was called Metebal, the daughter of Matred, daughter of Mezab. Dukes of Edom. And these are the names of the dukes of Esau and their kindreds and places and callings: Duke Thamna, Duke Alva, Duke Jetheth, Duke Ulibama, Duke Ella, Duke Phanan, Duke Senez, Duke Theman, Duke Mabsar, Duke Magdiel, Duke Hiram. These are the dukes of Edom, dwelling in the land of their government, the same as Esau, the father of the Edomites. Chapter 37. Joseph is hated by his brothers. And Jacob dwelt in the land of Canaan, wherein his father sojourned, and these are his generations. Joseph, when he was 16 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers, being but a boy. And he was with the sons of Bala, and of Zilpah, his father's wives, and he accused his brethren to his father of a most wicked crime. Now Israel loved Joseph above all his sons, because he had him in his old age, and he made him a coat of divers colors. And his brethren, seeing that he was loved by his father more than all his sons, hated him, and could not speak peaceably to him. Joseph dreams. Now it fell out also that he had told his brethren a dream that he had dreamed, which occasioned them to hate him the more. Chapter 37, verse 5, a dream. These dreams of Joseph were prophetical and sent from God, as were also those which he interpreted. Genesis 40 through 41. Otherwise, generally speaking, believing in dreams is condemned in the Scripture as superstitious and sinful. See Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 10, and Ichilus, chapter 34, verses 2 through 3. And he said to them, Hear my dream which I dreamed. I thought we were binding sheaves in the field, and my sheaf arose as it were, and stood, and your sheaf standing about bowed down before my sheaf. His brethren answered, Shalt thou be our king, or shall we be subject to thy dominion? Therefore this matter of his dreams and words ministered nourishment to their envy and hatred. He dreamed also another dream, which he told his brethren, saying, I saw in a dream, as it were, the sun and the moon and 11 stars worshipping me. And when he had told this to his father and brethren, his father rebuked him and said, What meaneth this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and... These things, I have to get past the pictures. Okay. Which I would be... I think once we're done with all of Genesis, I would be willing to show the pictures as well as the Bible verses that go with them. But shall I and thy mother and thy brethren worship thee upon the earth? His brethren therefore envied him, but his father considered the thing with himself. Joseph is sent to his brothers. When his brothers abode in Shechem, feeding their father's flocks, Israel said to him, Thy brethren feed the sheep in Shechem. Come, I will send thee to them. And when he answered, I am ready, he said to him, Go, and see if all things be well with thy brethren, and if the cattle, and bring me word again that what is doing. So being sent from the vale of Hebron, he came to Shechem. Verse 10, worship. This word is not used here to signify divine worship, but an inferior veneration, expressed by the bowing of the body, and that according to the manner of the Eastern nation, down to the ground. But he answered, And a man found him there wandering in the field, and asked what he sought. But he answered, I seek my brethren. Tell me where they feed the flocks. And the man said to him, They are departed from this place, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went forward after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. Conspiracy of Joseph's brothers. And when they saw him afar off, before he came nigh, they thought to kill him, and said one to another, Behold, the dreamer cometh. Come, let us kill him, and cast him into some old pit, and we will say, Some evil beast hath devoured him. And then it shall appear what his dreams avail him. And Reuben, hearing this, endeavored to deliver him out of their hands, and said, Do not take away his life, nor shed his blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and keep your hands harmless. Now he said this, being desirous to deliver him out of their hands, and to restore him to his father. And as soon as he came to his brethren, they forthwith stripped him of his outside coat, that was of divers colors, and cast him into an old pit where there was no water. Joseph is sold into slavery. And sitting down to eat bread, they saw some Ishmaelites on their way coming from Galaad with their camels, carrying spices and balm and myrrh to Egypt. Verse 25, on their way, verse 25. Dothan, where Joseph's brothers were grazing their sheep, was on a caravan route between Syria or Mesopotamia and Egypt. And Judah said to his brethren, What will it profit us to kill our brother and conceal his blood? It is better that he be sold to the Ishmaelites, that our hands be not defiled, for he is a brother in our flesh. His brethren agreed to his words, and when the Midianite merchants passed by, they drew him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they led him into Egypt. Jacob mourns for Joseph. And Reuben, returning to the pit, found not the boy, and rendering his garments, he went to his brethren and said, The boy doth not appear, and whither shall I go? And they took his coat and dipped in the blood of a kid, which they had killed, sending some to carry it to their father, and to say, This we have found, see whether it be thy son's coat or not. And the father, acknowledging it, said, It is my son's coat. An evil wild beast hath eaten him. A beast hath devoured Joseph. And tearing his garments, he put on sackcloth, mourning for his son a long time. And all his children being gathered together to comfort their father in his sorrow, he would not receive comfort, but said, I will go down to my son into hell mourning. And whilst he continued weeping. Into hell, an example, into limbo, the place where the souls of the just were received before the death of our Redeemer. The word hell cannot be taken to mean grave in this place, since Jacob did not believe his son to be in the grave. whom he supposed to be devoured by a wild beast. Jacob certainly meant the place of rest where he believed his soul to be. Joseph sold to Potiphar. The Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, an eunuch of Pharaoh, captain of the soldiers. An eunuch. The word sometimes signifies a chamberlain, courtier, or officer of the king. Thus it was taken in this place. Potiphar was commander of Pharaoh's bodyguard in charge of a jail for political prisoners. Chapter 38. Sons of Judah. At that time Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Edomite named Heres. And he saw there the daughter of a man of Chanaan, called Sue, and taking her to wife, he went in unto her, and she conceived and bore a son, and called his name Hur. And conceiving again, she bore a son, and called him Onan. She bore also a third, whom she called Selah, after whose birth she ceased to bear any more. Widowhood of Thamar. And Judah took a wife for her, his firstborn, whose name was Thamar. And Hur, the firstborn of Judah, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and was slain by him. Judah therefore said to Onan his son, Go into thy brother's wife, and marry her, that thou mayest raise seed to thy brother. Sin of Onan. He, knowing that the children should not be his, when he went into his brother's wife, spilled his seed upon the ground, lest children should be born in his brother's name. And therefore the Lord slew him, because he did a detestable thing. Wherefore Judah said to Thamar, his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow in thy father's house, till Selah my son grow up, for he was afraid lest he might also die, as his brother did. She went her way and dwelt in her father's house. Thamar's deceit. And after many days were passed, the daughter of Sue, the wife of Judah, died. And when he had taken comfort after the morning, he went up to Thamnis, to the shearers of his sheep, he and Heres the Edomite, the shepherd of his flock. And it was told Thamar that her father-in-law was come up to Thamnis to shear his sheep. And she put off the garments of her widowhood, and took a veil, and changing her dress, sat in the crossway that leadeth to Thamnis, because Selah was grown up, and she had not been married to him. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a harlot, for she had covered her face, lest she should be known. And going to her, he said, Suffer me to lie with thee, for he knew her not to be his daughter-in-law. And she answered, What wilt thou give me to enjoy my company? He said, I will send thee a kid out of the flock. And when she said again, I will suffer what thou wilt, if thou give a pledge, till thou send what thou promised. Judah said, What wilt thou have for a pledge? She answered, Thy ring and bracelet, and the staff which thou holdest in thy hand. The woman therefore at one copulation conceived, and she arose and went her way, and putting off the apparel which she had taken, put on the garments of her widowhood. Judah sends his shepherd to find Thamar. And Judah sent a kid by his shepherd the Edomite, that he might receive the pledge again, which he had given to the woman. But he, not finding her, asked the men of that place, Where is the woman that sat in the crossway? And when they all made answer, There was no harlot in this place, he returned to Judah and said to him, I have not found her. Moreover, the men of the place said to me that there never sat a harlot there. Judah said, Let her take it to herself. Surely she cannot charge us with a lie. I sent the kid which I promised, and thou didst not find her. Judah forgives Thamar. And behold, after 3 months they told Judah, saying, Thamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot, and she appeareth to have a big belly. And Judah said, Bring her out, that she may be burnt. But when she was led to execution, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man to whom these things belong, I am with child. See whose ring and bracelet and staff this is. But he, acknowledging the gift, said, She is juster than I, because I did not give her to Selah my son. However, he knew her no more. Birth of Phares and Zerah. And when she was ready to be brought to bed, there appeared twins in her womb. And in the very delivery of the infants, one put forth a hand, wherein the midwife tied a scarlet thread, saying, This shall come forth the first. But he, drawing back his hand, the other came forth. And the woman said, What is the partition divided for thee? And therefore called his name Phares. Afterwards his brother came out, on whose hand was the scarlet thread, and she called him Zara. Chapter 38, verse 10. Therefore the Lord slew him. Onan was struck dead by God, because his action was sinful. And the same action today is still grievously sinful, and always will be. Verse 29, Phares, an example of breach or division. Chapter 39, Joseph prospers. And Joseph was brought into Egypt, and Potiphar, an eunuch of Pharaoh, chief captain of the army, an Egyptian, brought him of the Ishmaelites, by whom he was brought. And the Lord was with him, and he was a prosperous man in all things, and he dwelt in his master's house, who knew very well that the Lord was with him, and made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found favor in the sight of his master, and ministered to him, and being set over all by him in all things that were delivered to him. And the Lord blessed the house of the Egyptian for Joseph's sake, and multiplied all his substance both at home and in the fields. Neither knew he any other thing, but the bread which he ate. And Joseph was of a beautiful countenance, and comely to behold. Joseph resists temptation. After many days his mistress cast her eyes on Joseph, and said, Lie with me. But he, in no wise consenting to that wicked act, said to her, Behold, my master hath delivered all things to me, and knoweth not what he hath in his own house. Neither is there anything which is not in my power, or that he hath not delivered to me. But thee, who art his wife, how then can I do this wicked thing, and sin against my God? With such words as these, day by day, both the woman was importunate with the young man, and he refused the adultery. Now it happened on a certain day that Joseph went into the house, and was doing some business without any men with him. And she, catching the skirt of his garment, said, Lie with me. But he, leaving the garment in her hand, fled and went out. Joseph is cast into prison. When the woman saw the garment in her hands, and herself disregarded, she called to her the men of her house, and said to them, See, he hath brought in a Hebrew to abuse us. He came in to me to lie with me. And when I cried out, and he heard my voice, he left the garment that I held and got him out. For a proof, therefore, of her fidelity, she kept the garment and showed it to her husband when he returned home. A proof of her fidelity, an example, to prove her story. And said, The Hebrew servant whom thou hast brought here came to me to abuse me. And when he heard me cry, he left the garment which I held and fled out. His master, hearing these things, and giving too much credit to his wife's words, was very angry, and cast Joseph into the prison, where the king's prisoners were kept, and he was there shut up. Joseph advances in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph, and having mercy upon him, gave him favor in the sight of the chief keeper of the prison, who delivered into his hand all the prisoners that were kept in custody. And whatsoever was done under him, neither did he himself know anything, having committed all things to him, for the Lord was with him, and made all that he did to prosper. Chapter 40. Pharaoh's butler and baker. After this it came to pass that two eunuchs of the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their lord. And Pharaoh, being angry with them, now the one was chief butler, the other chief baker, he sent them to the prison of the commander of the soldiers, in which Joseph also was prisoner. But the keeper of the prison delivered them to Joseph, and he served them. Some little time passed, and they were kept in custody. Joseph interprets the butler's dream, and they both dreamed a dream the same night, according to the interpretation agreeing to themselves. And when Joseph was come into them in the morning and saw them, he asked them, saying, Why is your countenance sadder today than usual? They answered, We have dreamed a dream, and there is nobody to interpret it to us. And Joseph said to them, Doth not interpretation belong to God? Tell me what you have dreamed. Chapter 40, verse 8. Doth not interpretation belong to God? When dreams are from God, as these were, the interpretation of them is a gift of God. But the generality of dreams are not of this sort. They proceed either from the natural complexions and dispositions of persons, or the roving of their imagination in the day on such objects as they are much affected with, or from their mind being disturbed with cares and troubles and oppressed with bodily infirmities. They may be suggested by evil spirits to flatter or to terrify weak minds in order to gain belief, and so draw them into error or superstition, or at least to trouble them in their sleep, whom they cannot move when they are awake. The general rule with regard to dreams is to not believe in them, nor to give any credit to them. The chief butler first told his dream. I saw before me a vine, on which were 3 branches, which by little and little sent out buds, and after the blossoms brought forth ripe grapes, and the cups of Pharaoh was in my hand. And I took the grapes, and pressed them into the cup which I held, and I gave the cup to Pharaoh. Joseph answered, This is the interpretation of the dream. The 3 branches are yet 3 days, after which Pharaoh will remember thy service, and will restore thee to thy former place. And thou shalt present him the cup offering to thy office, as before thou wast wont to do. Only remember me when it shall be to well with thee, and to do me this kindness to put Pharaoh in mind to take me out of this prison. For I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here without any fault was cast into the dungeon. Joseph interprets the baker's dream. The chief baker, seeing that he had wisely interpreted the dream, said, I also dreamed a dream, that I had 3 baskets of meal upon my head. And then in one basket, which was uppermost, I carried all meats that are made by the art of baking, and the birds ate out of it. Joseph answered, This is the interpretation of the dream. The 3 baskets are yet 3 days, after which Pharaoh will take thy head from thee, and hang thee on a cross, and the birds shall tear thy flesh. Joseph's interpretations are true. The 3rd day after this was the birthday of Pharaoh, and he made a great feast for his servants, and at the banquet remembered the chief butler and the chief baker. And he restored the one to the place to present him the cup. The other he hanged on a gibbet, that the truth of the interpreter might be shown. But the chief butler, when things proposed to him, forgot his interpreter. Chapter 1. Pharaoh's 2 dreams. After 2 years, Pharaoh had a dream. He thought he stood by the river, out of which came up 7 kine, very beautiful and fat, and they fed in marshy places. Other 7 also came up out of the river, ill-favored and lean flesh, and they fed on the very bank of the river, in green places, and they devoured them, whose bodies were very beautiful and well-conditioned. So Pharaoh awoke. He slept again and dreamed another dream. 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, full and fair. Then 7 other ears sprang up thin and blasted, and devoured all the beauty of the former. Pharaoh awakened after his rest, and when morning was come, being struck with fear, he sent to all the interpreters of Egypt, and to all the wise men, and they being called, for he told them his dream, and there was not anyone that could interpret it. The butler tells Pharaoh of Joseph. Then at length the chief butler, remembering, said, I confess my sin. The king, being angry with his servants, commanded me and the chief baker to be cast into the prison of the captain of the soldiers, wherein one night both of us dreamed a dream, foreboding things to come. There was there a young man, a Hebrew, sent to the same captain of the soldiers to whom we told our dreams, and we heard that afterwards the event of the thing proved to be so. For I was restored to my office, and he was hanged upon a gibbet. Pharaoh tells his dream to Joseph. Forthwith, at the king's command, Joseph was brought out of the prison, and they shaved him, and changing his apparel, brought him into him. And he said to him, I have dreamed dreams, and there is no one that can expound them. Now I have heard that thou art very wise in interpreting them. Joseph answered, Without me, God shall give Pharaoh a prosperous answer. So Pharaoh told what he had dreamed. Methought I stood upon the bank of the river, and 7 kine came out of the river, exceedingly beautiful and full of flesh, and they grazed in green places in a marshy pasture. And behold, there followed these other 7 kine, so very ill-favored and lean, that I never saw the like in the land of Egypt, and they devoured and consumed the former, and yet gave no mark of their being full, but were as lean and ill-favored as before. I awoke and then fell asleep again, and dreamed a dream. 7 ears of corn grew upon one stalk, full and very fair. Other 7 also thin and blasted sprung of the stalk, and they devoured the beauty of the former. I told this dream to the conjectures, and there is no man that can expound it. Joseph interprets Pharaoh's dream. Joseph answered, The king's dream is one. God hath shown to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 beautiful kine and the 7 full ears are 7 years of plenty, and both contain the same meaning of the dream. And the 7 lean and thin kine that came up after them, and the 7 thin ears that were blasted with the burning wind, are 7 years of famine to come, which shall be fulfilled in this order. Therefore there shall come 7 years of great plenty in the whole land of Egypt, after which shall follow other 7 years of so great scarcity that all the abundance before shall be forgotten. For the famine shall consume all the land, and the greatness of the scarcity shall destroy the greatness of the plenty. And for that thou didst see the second time a dream pertaining to the same thing. It is a token of the certainty, and that the word of God cometh to pass, and is fulfilled speedily. Now therefore let the king provide a wise and industrious man, and make him ruler over the land of Egypt, that he may appoint overseers over all the countries, and gather into barns the 5th part of the fruits during the 7 fruitful years, that shall now presently ensue. And let all the corn be laid up under Pharaoh's hands, and be reserved in the cities, and let it be in readiness against the famine of 7 years to come, which shall oppress Egypt, and the land shall not be consumed with scarcity. Joseph becomes ruler of Egypt. The counsel pleased Pharaoh and all his servants, and he said to them, Can we find such another man that is full of the Spirit of God? He said therefore to Joseph, Seeing God hath shown thee all that thou hast said, can I find one wiser and one like unto thee? Thou shalt be over my house, and at the commandment of thy mouth all the people shall obey. Only in the kingly throne will I be above thee. And again Pharaoh said to Joseph, Behold, I have appointed thee over the whole land of Egypt. And he took his ring from his own hand and gave it into his hand, and he put upon him a robe of silk and put a chain of gold about his neck. And he made him go up into his second chariot, the crier proclaiming that all should bow their knee before him, and that they should know he was made governor over the whole land of Egypt. And the king said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh. Without thy commandment no man shall move hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. Joseph prepares for famine. And he turned his name and called him in the Egyptian tongue, the Savior of the world. And he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Putiphari, priest of Heliopolis. Then Joseph went out to the land of Egypt. Verse 46, pardon me. Now he was 30 years old when he stood before King Pharaoh, and he went round all the countries of Egypt. And the fruitfulness of the 7 years came, and the corn being bound up into sheaves was gathered together into the barns of Egypt. And all the abundance of grain was laid up in every city. And there was so great abundance of wheat that it was equal to the sand of the sea, and the plenty exceeded measure. Birth of Manasseh and Ephraim. And before the famine came, Joseph had 2 sons born, whom Asenath, the daughter of Putiphari, priest of Heliopolis, bore unto him. And he called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, saying, God hath made me to forget all my labors into my father's house. And he named the second Ephraim, saying, God hath made me to grow in the land of my poverty. Verse 51, Manasseh, an example, oblivion or forgetting. Ephraim, verse 52, Ephraim, an example, fruitful or growing. Famine. Now when the 7 years of the plenty that had been in Egypt were past, the 7 years of scarcity which Joseph had foretold began to come. And the famine prevailed in the whole world, but there was bread in all the land of Egypt. And when there also began to be famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for food, and he said to them, Go to Joseph, and do all that he shall say to you. And the famine increased daily in all the land. And Joseph opened all the barns and sold to the Egyptians, for the famine had oppressed them also. And all provinces came into Egypt to buy food, and to seek some relief of their want. Chapter 42. Jacob sends his sons to buy grain in Egypt. And Jacob, hearing that food was sold in Egypt, said to his sons, Why are ye careless? I have heard that wheat is sold in Egypt. Go ye down and buy us necessaries, that we may live, and not be consumed with want. So the 10 brethren of Joseph went down to buy corn in Egypt, whilst Benjamin was kept at home by Jacob, who said to his brethren, Lest perhaps he take any harm in the journey. And they entered into the land of Egypt with others that want to buy, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. Joseph imprisons his brothers. And Joseph was governor in the land of Egypt, and corn was sold by his direction to the people. And when his brethren had bowed down to him, and he knew them, he spoke as it were to strangers, somewhat roughly, asking them, Whence came you? They answered, From the land of Canaan, to buy necessities of life. And though he knew his brethren, he was not known by them. And remembering the dreams which formerly he had dreamed, he said to them, You are spies. You are come to view the weaker parts of the land. Chapter 42, verse 9, You are spies. This he said by way of examining them, to see what they would answer. But they said, It is not so, my lord. But thy servants are come to buy food. We are all the sons of one man. We are come as peaceable men. Whether do thy servants go about any evil? And he answered them, It is otherwise. You are come to consider the unfenced parts of this land. But they said, We thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. The youngest is with our father, the other is not living. He saith, This is it that I said, You are spies. I shall now presently try what you are. By the health of Pharaoh, you shall not depart hence until your youngest brother come. Send one of you to fetch him, and you shall be imprisoned till what you have said be proved, whether it be true or false, or else by the health of Pharaoh you are spies. Verse 16, or else by the health of Pharaoh you are spies. That is, if these things you say to be proved false, you are to be held as spies for your lying, and shall be treated as such. Joseph dealt in this manner with his brethren, to bring them by means of affliction and a sense of their former sin, and a sincere repentance for it. So he put them in prison 3 days. Joseph offers freedom to his brothers. And on the 3rd day, he brought them out of prison and said, Do as I have said, and you shall live, for I fear God. If you be peaceable men, let one of your brethren be bound in prison, and go ye your ways, and carry the corn that you have brought into your houses, and bring your youngest brother to me, that I may find your words to be true, and you may not die. They did as he had said, and they talked one to another. We deserve to suffer these things because we have sinned against our brother, seeing the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this affliction come upon us. And Reuben, one of them, said, Did not I say to you, do not sin against the boy, and you would not hear me? Behold, his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood, because he spoke to them by an interpreter. And he turned himself away a little while and wept, and returning he spoke to them. Simeon is held as hostage, and taking Simeon and binding him in their presence, he commanded his servants to fill their sacks with wheat, and to put every man's money again in their sacks, and to give them besides provisions for the way, and they did so. But they were having loaded their asses with the corn, went their way. And one of them, opening his sack to give his beast provender in the inn, saw the money in the sack's mouth, and said to his brethren, My money is given to me again. Behold, it is in the sack. And they were astonished and troubled, and said to one another, What is this that God hath done unto us? But the brothers tell Jacob what befell them in Egypt. And they came to Jacob their father in the land of Canaan, and they told him all things that had befallen them, saying, The Lord of the land spoke roughly to us, and took us to be spies of the country. And we answered him, We are peaceable men, and we mean no plot. We are 12 brethren born of one father, who is not living. The youngest is with our father in the land of Canaan. And he said to us, Hereby shall I know that you are peaceable men. Leave one of your brethren with me, and take ye necessary provisions for your house, and go your ways. And bring your youngest brother to me, that I may know you are not spies, and you may receive this man again, that is kept in prison, and afterwards may have leave to buy what you will. Jacob refuses to permit Benjamin to go to Egypt. When they had told this, they poured out their corn, and every man found his money tied in the mouth of his sack. And all being astonished together, the father of Jacob said, You have made me to be without children. Joseph is not living. Simeon is kept in bonds, and Benjamin you will take away. All these evils are fallen upon me. And Reuben answered him, Kill my 2 sons if I bring him not again to thee. Deliver him unto my hand, I will restore him to thee. But he said, My son shall not go down with you. His brother is dead, and he is left alone. If any mischief befall him in the land to which you go, you will bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to hell. Verse 38, to hell, an example, to that place where the souls of the just then remained, as in Genesis 37, chapter 37, 35. All right, that was that was 36 through 42 of the Holy Bible. Next week we'll read the last 8 chapters, and then we will be on to Exodus. Thank you very much for joining me for this reading of the Holy Bible. I hope that everything finds you well, and God bless. Thank you very much for watching.